Greetings, beautiful people. Welcome back to my channel. It is your girl, Creatrix here, okay? And today I have a beautiful video for y'all on a topic that is very necessary that I've been wanting to do for a very long time, but just not really knowing when to start this video. But I feel like today is a very good day to start this topic, okay? And I'm pretty sure that this topic is going to continue on throughout the channel, okay? It's just one of those things like healing, evolving, and growing that is very much so foundational to this game, okay? To this Earth Realm game that we're all involved in. We're all playing this game, right? And the topic is developing our spiritual gifts in order to be able to speak to our spirit guides, okay? Because that is the main gift, the main aspect of our spirituality that we want to focus on first initially, because that is going to be the foundation for every other gift that opens up to us. Okay, we have to be able to properly, clearly communicate with our guides. All right, we have to know the difference between the telepathic messages that they are sending us versus our own thoughts, versus the thoughts of other players who are in competition with us that are trying to intercept or trying to fill our minds with thoughts that they want us to think. Okay, because our subconscious mind is constantly being attacked and it's constantly being defended. And so there is such a thing as misinterpreting or having unclear communication with our guides, okay, at first at least. And then it's just like anything else in this realm, right? Any other skill that you are developing, we have to practice at it. In order to develop a skill, you practice, you learn, you figure out what works for you and what makes sense for you. Okay, because even though we all have the ability to speak to our guides, to communicate with our guides, there's no one way that we all do it. All right, we all do it in so many different ways. And also, you could be a person who does it in so many different ways. Like, just because you find out that you are, let's say, clairaudient, and you can like audibly hear your guides speak to you, okay, in your mind, that doesn't mean that they're not also sending you feelings, and that you can pick up on those feelings or emotions as well, and you can interpret those emotions, okay? That's not to say that also, I forget what the name of the gift is called, but there's people out there that can look out into the universe and like read the scene. They can just look and read like what's happening, like the wind blowing, the tree, the way that a car just passed by, or a certain sign. You might see a sign that's like an advertisement or something, and it conveys a message to you, and that your spirit guides can speak to you in so many different ways. So you might be able to communicate with them in all of these different ways, and visually as well. You might even be able to see them appear right in front of you. But in order to develop or even realize, right, because sometimes the development aspect of it is just realizing what we are already capable of, right? Because when we come to this realm, it's not so much the process of acquiring or learning. Is more so remembering who it is that we already are. All right. So when we come here, we need to learn, right, or realize what it is that we are already capable of. And the challenge in this is that, especially in the Western world, okay, in the matrix within the matrix that exists, okay, I'm talking about everyday society, secular society, society in which all of this that I'm speaking about is a hidden mystery. Society in which if you hear voices in your head, you're schizophrenic, you're crazy, you're bipolar, you know, all of these different things that are labeled as negative, that have negative connotations, that deter us from really being curious about our talents, about our gifts, about the things that we're experiencing. We're literally gaslit into believing that our imaginations are just running wild, and that the depression and the stress of everyday life are really getting to us. So the voices that you hear in your head, oh, those are hallucinations. Yeah, be careful, because one day those voices are going to tell you to off yourself or off the people around you. All right. Or you have, what is that? Um, Psychological, there's a psychological issue in which somebody has like multiple personalities, and it was put in this movie. Like a lot of this stuff they put in movies, right? Shutter Island, and the movie that I just mentioned about how that guy, is it called The Beast? The prequel to The Beast or whatever. And there's so many movies in which like you have all these mind f movies where the people turn out to be crazy, like The Sixth Sense, right? Well, that was kind of different because Bruce Willis didn't know that he was dead, but you know what I mean. There's like all these mind f movies that, the big catharsis or the big point of the movie is that the main character was actually crazy the entire time, and they made up what was happening in the film. Like, how many times have we seen that, right? And there's this energy in society that, like, somebody, like, any little trigger, and you could all of a sudden become crazy, right? You can all of a sudden be diagnosed with something because something's off with you and something's wrong with you. And, just to be clear, there are crown chakra issues that can occur, okay, especially if your root chakra is affected. You can have situations to where you're not grounded enough, to where your imagination can be infiltrated, your mind can be infiltrated. Literally, our gut bacteria has an effect on our ability to think clearly, to have our own thoughts. Okay, there you could have an overgrowth of yeast, or just some type of microorganism in your gut that can literally send signals to your brain to insert thoughts into your mind to control your actions, right? Like, let's say you have a yeast overgrowth. The yeast, they produce actual, like, chemicals that look like our own hormones to signal to our brain that we want more food that contains yeast, or we want more sugar, or whatever it is that they consume, right? In order for them to keep thriving, keep growing in us, right? They become parasitic. And so there are instances in which people do, kind of, misfire, if that makes any sense. But for the most part, a lot of us are resisting our own natural abilities to speak to our spirit guides, because everyone in this realm who is a soul, who is born naturally through the process of birth through a woman, right, through the womb portal, who have gained an avatar correctly, right, by going through the process of being born into this realm. We all have spirit guides. Every one of us has spirit guides, multiple spirit guides. All right, we all have that main spirit guide though. We have that one spirit guide that is going to be with us at birth and will be with us until the end of our journey. All right, but for the most part, we have spirit guides. Sometimes they come in and out. Sometimes they're there for a season and we don't see them again. And sometimes, depending on your mission and depending on how much protection you need, how much guidance you need, the feat, right? How high you have to climb in this realm, how much you have to learn, how much you have to conquer, how great your mission is, and your ranking is all taken into consideration when deciding how many spirit guides are going to assist you on your journey. And not only that, you can invoke, right, more spiritual guides just by your actions, right? If you do something amazing, or if you show some kind of potential or progress on your journey, you will attract the attention of more spirit guides, more extraterrestrials, more of these entities that want to help you on your journey because they see potential in you. They see you putting in the work, all right? They see that you are separate from the rest, because a lot of us, what happens to a lot of us, unfortunately, is that our spirit guides will spend years and years and years and years trying to contact us, trying to help us. But we are so distracted, so enveloped in the illusion that exists in the matrix, within the matrix, right? That we ignore these calls, we ignore these signals. They're literally waving their hands at us like, hey, hey, go this way, not that way. Or like, I'm right here, please, like, give me permission to help you. Make room, make space for me to be able to assist you with this. And a lot of us ignore that because we, like I said, we gaslight ourselves into believing that we're not feeling or experiencing what it is that we're actually experiencing and feeling. All right. And this is on purpose because nobody ever tells you, right? Like, we don't learn in school that everybody has spirit guides. We're not told that, yeah, there's these group of entities that you can't see with your eyes, but are always around you, protecting you, helping you, waiting for you to acknowledge them so that they can make shit move in your life. Nobody tells us that, because they, like our parents, our caregivers, our teachers, they themselves don't know. It's like the blind leading the blind, right? um just, it gives me that energy of that Bible verse talking about an eye for an eye, right? Like, because they themselves are blind and can't see where they're going, they are going to pluck out your eyes and make you so that you're not seeing, that you can't, that you can't overcome and pioneer and take a different path, and be a leader. So I'm here to tell you that if you haven't already developed your relationship, or if you haven't already initiated, right, a relationship with your spirit guides, there's no way that you're going to win in this realm. That's like basics 101. Okay, our spirit guides are here to guide us, to protect us. And for that, there needs to be a clear line of communication. And like I said, it's going to take some effort on your part. And believe me, it's not as much effort as you think. All right. I'm going to get into how we can initiate, right, communication with them, but it's going to take effort on your part, even very minimal effort, to see how or what feels comfortable in the way that you talk to them. Because for some people, it's prayer, right? Like, that's fine. If you want to pray to your guides, that's fine. But usually, people who are religious and pray, they don't expect an answer back, right? Because so-called God or Allah or Yahweh, whatever you want to call it, that entity is not going to answer back to you, right? Or that entity can. That entity can. You never know. But in order to be able, like, those entities are heavy hitters. I'm going to be honest with you. God, there is an entity that has taken the position as God that is not the Most High, okay, which the Most High is the creator of this earth realm. But God is an entity that is more of a trickster energy and I say trickster only because it's not clear who God is. When a religious person is praying to God, they're not very clear on who God is, because God doesn't clear up who they are. Okay, they kind of just take advantage of the situation. All right, and then you have Allah, who is actually a very great, wonderful entity, but the way that the Quran is interpreted is not in alignment with Allah. Okay, Allah is very much so a very feminine, loving, feminine leaning type of entity or extraterrestrial. Okay, Allah is very much so reveres the feminine and has very strict rules around the protection and nurturing of feminine energy. Okay, Allah is very rooted in feminine energy, and so a lot of people who follow the Muslim faith, no offense, but the reverence toward the feminine is not there, and Allah is not going to open up to you if there's no true deep respect and reverence for the feminine energy. And it's very ironic because the actual people who practice Islam, who call themselves Muslim, are very much so abusive towards the feminine energy. They're very much so like just straight up abusive towards women. It is what it is. All right. And yeah, Allah is not with that. And then we have Yahweh, who, ooh, they're like, that's a whole separate video. That's a whole separate video. They're not gonna give me, they're not giving me any information on Yahweh. That's like a whole separate video. Ooh, I'm getting really dark energy with that one. Okay, anyway, so what I mean to say is that religious people who pray, that can be a good way to communicate with your guides if that feels comfortable for you. However, make sure you're not praying to like these very large spiritually giant type of energies. Make sure you're directing your prayers to your specific guides, which can be ancestors of yours, or they can be entities or energies that are not so much associated directly with your lineage, but that you have connected with before, that your soul has connected with before in different lifetimes. Okay, like for example, I have a very close relationship with Ganesha. Okay, Ganesha, that's my guide. I love Ganesha so much. I feel so much unconditional love and guidance from Ganesha. He's so gentle and loving, right? But I know in this lifetime, I am not Hindu, I'm not Indian, all right? But I know that I've made a connection with him in past lifetimes because I know in a past lifetime I was Indian. All right, I see the version of myself as the Indian woman that I was in a past lifetime. Okay, she's very meek and like she reminds me of a mouse. She's very meek, yeah, like just shy type of energy. And so I know I have a connection with Ganesha and other Hindu entities, right, and other extraterrestrials that are connected to the Hindu pantheon. All right. And so not only can your guides be ancestors or entities that are connected to you from past lifetimes, but also past versions of yourself and future versions of yourself can also guide you on your journey as well. They can also become spiritual guides for you as well. And not to mention, this is the same category as extraterrestrials, but just to be clear, I'm talking about angels, demons, air quotes for all of these. These entities are also extraterrestrials that are spirit guides for us as well. Not to mention like spirit guides or extraterrestrials that we actually categorize as extraterrestrials, like the Lyrans, the Pleiadians, the Anunnaki, Syrians, Syrians, not Syrians, Sirius B, right? All of these different extraterrestrials that we do classify as extraterrestrials that are actually part of these pantheons as well. Okay, if you haven't seen my video explaining that, it's like one of the very first videos that I started posting on my channel. Go watch that because it does get confusing. I'm thinking that maybe I should do a refresher video on that too. But basically, pantheons, right? The entities that we know on this realm as the pantheons that rule over the territories on this earth realm. Like we have the Hindu pantheon, right? We have the Kemetic pantheon, which is like Osiris, and we have Heru, you know what I'm talking about. And then we have the Nordic pantheon, which is like Odin and Freya, Loki, Thor. We got mer people, right? Who we consider mer people, which they are the Atlanteans. And there's so many different species or kinds of mer people, right? And they're also belonging to pantheons. They rule over the seas, right, as well. And then you have the Yoruba pantheon, which are the Orisha, like Oshun, Shango, Ogun, Oya. And then we have, just all of these. You guys get the point. Like all of these entities, they rule over territories, and they're actually extraterrestrials that are watching this whole Earth realm game play out. Okay, that was a lot. So yeah, these entities can be our spiritual guides, and so can our ancestors. Okay, and our ancestors can also be these extraterrestrials as well. So there's a lot of overlapping. There's a lot of categorization and all of that stuff. If that makes sense for you, okay. But just to simplify this video, we're just gonna refer to them as our spirit guides. Okay, the specific group at the time, at this moment in time, who are guiding you, okay? Because like I said, they can change throughout the lifetime. It's not going to stay the same, but you do have that one spirit guide that will always be with you from beginning to end, all right? Which is your higher self. It is your higher self, all right? Who is completely invested in you, completely invested in your game, all right? Because our spirit guides can be invested in other players in this game as well. But depending on the timing, you'll have a group of spirit guides that will be completely devoted to you, all right? So yeah, with that being said, we can open a line of communication with these guides by, one, overcoming the fear, right, that we have, that is deeply embedded into us by religion, by science, saying that if you hear voices and stuff like that, that you're crazy, that there's something wrong with you, blah blah blah, that it's not real, right? It's just your imagination, when in actuality your imagination is actually a very real thing. Your imagination is your connection to the astral realm, to the spiritual realm, whatever you want to call it, right? Our imagination is that part of ourselves that is the purest, all right? That's why children have the best imaginations, right? But anyway, so we have to overcome these fears, all right? And then you simply do what feels right to you. If you feel like setting up an altar and having a specific place in your home where you connect with your guides, where you speak to them verbally out loud or speak to them telepathically in your mind, you can do that. If you just want to kneel down and pray and say, hey, spirit guides, I'm speaking to you, that's fine. If you want to light a candle, a white candle, while you're alone and you have time, and you say, hey, spirit guides, I'm reaching out to my guides that have the best and highest intentions for me. I'm calling out to you, and I give you permission to reveal yourselves in my life. Reveal yourselves to me. Show me the way. I need help with this. If there's something specific that you need help with, you can test them out that way. Be like, hey, I have this problem, I have this issue. I need you to show me a very clear sign, guide me, right? This is going on in my life. I need help. I need a solution. Please guide me towards the solution, right? Or, they love gratitude. They love it when you show them gratitude, because even though they're quote unquote dormant, or they try, after they tried so hard to get your attention and they kind of give up and just sit back and watch you, they're still doing their job by protecting you, helping you. They still do things here and there. So showing gratitude to them, right, for helping you thus far is important as well. And literally just talk to them, say anything to them. If you're comfortable, you can pick up a tarot deck, all right, and start communicating with your guides that way. I will say though, with tarot, I do tarot, and tarot is a very great skill. Divination in general is very great, very amazing. That is definitely a tool that will help you in this realm. So however you are being called to do divination, if that is a skill that you have, you don't even actually need anything to divinate. You could receive information telepathically, or you can divinate, like I said, just by looking outside of a window or just looking at your environment and trying to interpret it, right? But if you want to use things like tarot cards and stuff, that's great as well. However, I will say that my guides, in my experience, all right, my guides, they took their time to be able to really communicate with me through tarot. They took their time because I was surrounded by people that did not have good intentions for me. I was surrounded by people that later on down the line, after I picked up my first tarot deck, I realized were snakes, that revealed themselves as snakes in my life, or enemies in my life, right? So they held off on really coming through on the tarot until I was more grounded, until I was more in a position of of trusting myself, because at that time I was easily gaslit. I needed validation from other people. Okay. And I was codependent on other people at that time. So it kind of depends on the environment. Your spirit guides, though, are very intelligent. They're very smart. They're very sophisticated, I just heard. All right. And complex. They understand what's going on with you, within you, right? They see you in your totality, in your wholeness. So they will lead you to whatever is necessary at that moment to even strengthen your relationship with them, right? But what you can do on your part is to create an awareness, right? To create an awareness within yourself to say, hey, what do my guides think about what I'm doing about this? What are they trying to tell me? What am I seeing? What am I hearing? What am I feeling? Right? Because that in and of itself will open up a line of communication to you and your guides. It will strengthen the communication or the relationship between you and your guides. Just the fact that you are aware of them, just the fact that you care about what they think about something, just the fact that you are trying to perceive or understand where they're trying to lead you, what they're trying to show you. Okay, it's kind of like building a relationship with yourself. At first, especially during our teenage years or our adolescence, our early 20s, mid 20s, even late 20s, we are still trying to figure ourselves out because this society doesn't make room for us to really be able to dive deep into our internal world, right? So we kind of have to teach ourselves how to do that later on in life. So that's actually a process. We have to realize what's really us and what we have been groomed to believe and think, right? So it's kind of like that with your guides. You have to learn their voices. You have to learn when they nudge you, when they move you. It's very intricate, it's very subtle. So there's a need for intention when we are developing a relationship with our guides. And authenticity is very important. Being okay with our authentic selves is extremely important. Making sure that we remain calm in every situation, because when we're frazzled, all right, when we're experiencing fear or panic and all that stuff, it's very hard for them to be able to get a message across to us. Just like in the physical world, right? Like if you're super angry or super mad, like it's going to be hard for people to calm you down. Like even your friends, family, whatever, people around you, it's going to be hard for people to get through to you to make sure you don't do some dumb shit off of your emotions, right? It's the same thing with our guides. Like we need to keep calm. We need to breathe. We need to have an awareness, all right? Stay within ourselves in every situation to be able to get those rapid messages, right? But that's more advanced, right? If you're a beginner and just focus on realizing what your guides are trying to tell you. Even don't even focus on that. If you're a beginner, just focus on getting your awareness, just establishing or initiating a relationship with your guides, period. That's all you have to do if you're a beginner. All right. And as you get the ball rolling, it's going to get faster and faster and faster. You're going to level up. Okay. There's levels to this. And as you get more practice in, as you realize, as you dissect, as just be more intentional about it, the better you will get at it. Okay. It will become second nature. All right. And yeah, it's very important. The importance of speaking to your guides is literally the difference between life and unaliving, forfeiting the journey, right? Because our guides can lead us to better pathways. Our guides can give us insight into the game plan, all right? Because us and our guides, we've already spoke about a game plan even before you entered this realm. And because of the sea of forgetfulness, right? Because we're in our mother's womb, and when we are delivered onto this realm, we completely forget everything. So whatever you discussed with your spirit guides previous to entering this game, we completely forget, right? So you leave it up, and that's on purpose too. Okay, just as a side note, you're not supposed to fully understand the strategy because there might be some things within the strategy that if you knew about, you wouldn't do. Okay, so since we're here, all right, let me just keep it real with y'all. All right, let me keep it 100 with y'all. Our spirit guides have the capability to lie to us, to omit information from us, to trick us into situations. All right, they have the ability, they have the go ahead. Once you give it to them, they have the go ahead to really do whatever to get us into our best timeline, even if we have to go through hell and fire to get there, all right? Because they know at the end of the day that we are safe. They know at the end of the day that there's lessons that we need to learn in order to get to the next level. So we might experience a lot of turbulence, right? Once you connect with your guides, you might experience turbulence, but the point is that you're going to experience that turbulence regardless, but they're doing it in a more controlled environment, okay? Because they can actually do that. Like if you're meant to experience, like let's say for example getting arrested or going to jail, right? They can actually tell you like, oh, go vandalize this, or go do this thing, or go do that thing, so that, or they won't tell you why, right? But they're like, yeah, just go do this, just go do this. And you might be like, really, I need to do this? Like, okay. And you do it, right? Then you get arrested and you're like, what the, I thought I was protected. Like, why would you want me to get arrested? They're doing this, they don't have to tell you the whole plan, okay? Maybe you were in a situation to where you were surrounded by people who were planning to get you in the system anyway. So the fact that you did it yourself, it made it more controlled, okay? And yes, it might seem like what the hell is going on and you might start to panic, but your guides have everything under control. Like, we really have no idea how controlled this realm is. This realm seems very chaotic, and that's on purpose. Like, the illusion of chaos exists so that we really feel these lessons, so that these lessons are unforgettable. We have to actually experience from the inside out what is going on in this realm for us to really be able to grasp the lessons that we're supposed to learn. But in actuality, this realm is very much so controlled, and our spirit guides have a lot of power and influence, all right? And they are able to protect us, and they have a wealth of knowledge. Like, I can't even explain to you what I'm feeling right now. Like, the amount of knowledge that our guides hold is just amazing, because like I said, when we come to this realm, we forget a lot, right? So yeah, once you link with your guides, you will see that they will laugh at you. Like, my guides, they didn't, when I felt like I was in my worst moments, right? When I was homeless, lost, stuck in another country with my son, my spirit guides laughed at me. Like, I was bawling my eyes out, crying. They laughed at me. They joked with me. They were like, yeah, yeah, go ahead, try that. I'm like, should I do this? Should I do? Yeah, yeah, yeah. Go ahead, try that. They're like, our guides also have personalities. They have certain characteristics about them. Some guides like to do things a certain way. Another guide will like to do things another way, right? And they do fight amongst each other. They can fight amongst each other. They can test you. They argue amongst each other. You know, it's just interesting to be with your guides, to live life in this path with your guides, because they have protected me from so much. Like, it's about to make me emotional, because my guides are just, they're unconditional love, right? Our guides, these energies are unconditional love, and they want the best for us. In fact, the way that it is set up is that if you don't win this game, they don't win. Literally, your ancestors will be the best guides that you will ever have, okay? Because your guides, their literal accomplishments or their own ability to do great in this game is dependent on you as the actual player in this game. All right. So when they guide you, when they steer you in a certain direction, they have their own self in mind. Okay. Yes, they love you unconditionally and they'll do it anyways. But what I'm saying is that they have incentive to make sure that you really do great in this game, because they will reap the benefits of the rewards that you foster in this game once they are reincarnated into the same lineage, right? Later on down the line. So they have a vested interest in you winning this game. So they will not steer you wrong. They will really go hard for you. All right. And yes, they might laugh at you. They might trick you. They might lie to you. They might omit information and not want to tell you the whole truth to where you are surprised by something, even though you asked them and they gave you an answer and it didn't turn out that way. It's not because you are experiencing things wrong, or you're not using your gift correctly, or your gift is faulty, or your intuition is faulty. It's literally because our guides have a job. They have a job to get us from point A to point B. And during that journey, during that process, we're meant to learn lessons. And sometimes those lessons can be really tough. Sometimes those lessons can be frightening. And our job as players is to get used to the trust exercise, right? Trusting our guides that the path that they are forging for us, the path that they are already walking before our feet have even touched that path, making sure that our road is clear. We have to be able to trust them, right? As we walk down the path that they have already seen into the future, that they have already visualized, that they've already seen all of the different timelines that can occur, and they are guiding us toward the correct choices to be able to avoid pitfalls on our journey, that they've already seen how our enemies talk about us, how our enemies are plotting against us even before we meet those very enemies. Okay, they are helping us quantum leap over those lessons. All right, and our job is trusting them by making peace with the unknown. All right, like when I first started talking to my guides, I would ask them about everything. I was like, oh, should I do this? Oh, should I do that? Oh, what if I go there? Oh, what does that mean? Oh, is this person correct? Is this, should I trust this person? They were like, just live your damn life. Live your life. If we need to tell you something, we will tell you. Other than that, like, just go. Okay? Do what you want. Be happy, be merry. All right? Stop panicking. We got you. When you need to know something, we will tell you. That's what they told me. Like, other than that, go focus on your passions. All right? Because yeah, we're going to do that. Once you get the hang of this, right? And you're past that initial stage, and maybe you even start knowing the names of your guides, maybe you start being able to visualize them, and whenever their energy pops up, you have a foundation for an actual relationship. Then you're going to get excited, you're going to start asking them like, oh, should I do this? Should I do that? In the past when I was with my ex, was he cheating on me, or was she cheating on me? Like, was I right about this? Was I right about that? And they might literally be like, all right, I'm going to take a break and I'm going to take a step back, and I'm just not going to talk to you. All right. Because this is too much confirmation burp. All right. So our guides are real entities, real energies, real beings who have personalities, who have characters, and they want to feel gratitude. And they don't want to interfere on our journey to the point where we're not experiencing this earth realm the way that a human would. You know what I'm saying? Like, there should be some level of unknown on this realm, because that's where the lessons lie. There should be some level of surprise. Even me, as somebody who is intuitive as I am, there's a lot of hidden stuff. Like, maybe I will be able to see into somebody else's life. Maybe I can read somebody else's energy so much better than I can read it for myself. Like, and if you're psychic or intuitive, like, let me know. Like, let me know if you know what I'm talking about. Like, when I read for my own life, there's a lot of shit that they won't tell me that I can't look into, that is blocked. okay? But I can feel something coming, like I can feel energy, like I can get a taste of something, but I won't fully know exactly what it is. And some things in my life, yeah, I can get the full scope, get the full picture, but for the most part, the things that happen directly in my life are very much so hidden, and that is because the element of surprise is very beautiful. And now that I'm in the position that I am now, and I'm a seasoned, psychic or intuitive, whatever you want to call it, seasoned seer, I kind of like not knowing stuff. I kind of like, being blocked from knowing when this is going to happen, that's going to, like, I love surprises. I love surprises. And ever since I was a kid, it's always been difficult for people in my life to surprise me. If somebody were to surprise me throughout my life when I was younger and stuff, like, I would always know. I would always feel it. I would always sense it. And I would just act surprised. Like, if someone was throwing me a surprise birthday, or like if they were getting me a gift or something, I would kind of know already. Now that I'm actually like in this energy of knowing that I am a seer, I kind of like not knowing when stuff is about to happen. Like, it's fun. It's fun for me. The unknown is actually like exciting, right? Because knowing that you're safe and you're protected is so important to be able to have a fun experience on this realm, right? Like, in the past, it was not fun. Surprises were not fun. I liked to be in control. I liked to know when things were going to happen. I liked to know that this was right and that was wrong. I liked to categorize and all of that stuff because I felt unsafe. Because I felt like if I made the wrong move, it would cause my whole life to fall apart, or I would be unalived, right? But now that I've made peace with the fact that, knowing that I can trust this realm to always protect me, I can trust my guides to always protect me, I can trust myself to always protect me, then it's like I can rest in surprise. I can rest in the unknown. I can be okay with, shit, like, damn, I gotta go to jail. Or, oh, the person that I thought was my forever person actually turned out to be my worst enemy. Or, damn, I'm a single mother now. I didn't see that happening. Well, okay. And granted, that's not how I was feeling about stuff initially, but now that I'm where I am at now, I know that moving into the future, I have nothing to be afraid of. I can literally, I'm so malleable and so flexible mentally, right? That I know that I can go through anything, and I will not only be okay, but I'll actually have fun going through it. Isn't that crazy? Isn't that crazy? Like, things that we deem really, really terrible in this realm, really, really terrible. Trauma, right? Even our bodies being violated, or our very being violated, being made fun of, being outcasted, being imprisoned, being enslaved, right? All of those things, because I know that I'm safe, I don't need to resist, right? There's not a need to resist, and the resistance is what brings the suffering. So now that I'm out of the energy of resistance, it's like I'm okay with the unknown. I love being surprised, and I know that I'm going to be safe and protected in whatever comes my way, right? And I've dealt with a lot of things, and including almost being unalived. So because I've already gone through that and I'm okay, it's kind of like, what else is there? And it's a good feeling. It's a good feeling. And that, all the foundation of that is being so connected to my guides. So it's so imperative that we form a relationship, that we formulate a relationship with our guides, and we decide how we want to interact with them, how we want to speak to them, how we want them to speak to us, when, where, why, and how. Like, they're wanting that. They want us to tell them how we would like to be communicated to, how we would like to be guided. All right, even though they already know us, right, and they can already figure this out, they take what we want into consideration. So be candid, okay? Be open, right? Because it's all unconditional love. They just want to help, they want to guide, all right? And just know, whatever situation you find yourself in, realize that it's all for the betterment of your being, and that your guides are actually leading you to the rewards. They're leading you to the love, to finding your forever person, to being a millionaire or a billionaire or a trillionaire, right? To accomplishing the goals that you have set forth for yourself, right? Just know that that they are on your team, they're on your side. And so if you haven't already, tap in with your guides. It's very important that we tap in with our spiritual guides, all right? And our imagination, being able to visualize them is important too, but all of us have different gifts. So maybe you remember how their energy feels. Maybe you remember how they speak to you. Remember, you visualize them through your imagination, or you actually see them, standing in front of you as well. Everybody has different gifts, and it's up to you to cultivate those gifts to be able to strengthen your relationship with your guides. All right. I love you all so very much. And also, there is so much information on YouTube now, so many different people on YouTube talking about specific ways on how to develop their spiritual gifts. I might do one as well, but I feel like there's so much information out there that we can, it just takes a simple Google search or a TikTok search or whatever the case is, okay? Because there's so many like well-seasoned spiritual gurus out there that are ready to share information, right? So yeah, with that being said, I want to say I love y'all so very much. I appreciate you, and I will see you in the next video. I love you all. Creatrix out. Peace.